As we talk about the cost of production, let's talk specifically about the cost of inputs. This is what it costs to produce the good that we're looking at. So let's consider the good of being an Uber driver. So what are the fixed costs involved with being an Uber driver? Well, one of the fixed costs we can think about is purchasing the car. When you purchase a car, whether you work as an Uber driver or the number of hours you work doesn't matter in terms of purchasing the car nor car insurance. These are fixed costs, or one way to think about fixed cost is the total cost when the quantity is zero. So if I don't work any hours, these are still costs I have to pay as an Uber driver. The variable costs are the cost of variable inputs. Depending on how much I work, these are costs that will vary. So for example, gas, the more I work, the more I have to spend in gas, and the wear and tear of my car is also going to be classified as variable cost. These will be a function of quantity or the amount that I'm producing. And the way we calculate variable cost is we just take the total cost at a specific quantity and subtract off the fixed cost. And that's because one of the key things we have is that total cost is equal to our fixed cost plus our variable cost. And so now we can think of different types of costs. We can think of average total cost. We can even think of average total cost or average fixed cost, average variable cost. So however we do that, this is the cost per unit. So we take our total cost and just divide by quantity. So if I wanted to look at the average fixed cost, I would just take my fixed cost and divide by the quantity. But one of the key concepts that we're going to have in economics is going to be the marginal cost. This is the cost of one more unit. And we're going to measure this as the marginal cost is equal to the total cost of producing Q units minus the total cost of producing one fewer unit. So it's the cost of one more unit. So with this information, let's go ahead and fill in this chart for a specific firm. Here we're given quantities, and we're given a total cost for each quantity. So we know that the definition of fixed cost is the total cost when Q is 0. So the fixed cost is going to be 30. And fixed costs don't change based on the amount that you produce. So fixed costs are going to be fixed or the same throughout. Now variable costs we defined as variable cost is equal to the total cost minus the fixed cost. So I have the total cost and fixed cost, so variable cost is just going to be the difference between row 2 and 3. And so there we have our fixed costs. Now when we think of average cost or average total cost, total cost is going to equal total cost divided by quantity. So we're not going to have a value when quantity is 0. But when we're looking at the average total cost, it's going to be the total cost divided by quantity. So in this case, it'll be 60, it'll be 40, it'll be 32, 30, 30, 35, and 40. Notice that average total cost drops, flattens out, and then increases. To find the average variable cost, that is just the variable cost divided by the quantity. Again, we're not going to divide by 0, so we're not going to have that there. We're going to get 30, 25, 22. Got my calculator out to get these numbers here. 22.5, 24, 30, and about 35.7. Now, when we think of our average fixed cost, we're just going to take our average fixed cost is equal to the fixed cost divided by quantity. And so we'll get 30, 15, 10, 7.5, 6, 5, and 4.3. And again, it's just our fixed cost here divided by our quantity. Because our fixed costs are set, this number of our average fixed cost should be decreasing with each increase in quantity. Now let's look at our marginal cost. Marginal cost for a specific quantity is just equal to the total cost of that quantity minus total cost of quantity minus 1. So we're not going to have a marginal cost of producing 0 items, but to produce the first item, our total cost went from 30 to 60. And so there our marginal cost will be 30. We go 60 to 80. So 20, 80 to 96, 16, 24, 30, 60, 70. So you see marginal cost decreases and then begins to increase from there. And so this is how we can both define different types of input costs and calculate them with a table.